Hey everyone, welcome to the LIBERcast. I just want to thank everyone for being there tonight and joining us for this conversation. And I have the pleasure of having Will Keller again with us on the LIBERcast to talk about uh, conscious parenting, and I think that's a crucial things that we have to talk about, like more, even more, because there's a lot of stuff now. We have Dana, who's doing an all work on that. She's on the One Great Work network. I'm gonna bring that up. Me and Will are part of this One Great Work network. So if you want to like look into all these awesome things, awesome subjects, awesome presenters, and content creators, I suggest you to go there, the One Great Work Network.com. He wants to bring about shadow work. We're gonna touch a little bit about that tonight at the same time. Um, this is Caroline Riley Shadow Work Community website, and I suggest to everyone to go see there. If you're curious about the shadow work and introspection and the inner work, go there. It's filled with stuff like useful tools that you can use. It's an awesome presentation, and she's offering a course. So if you want to do it, she's offering it. After that, I want to bring that because Amy from Lovolution made a donation to me, and I want to acknowledge it publicly. So thank you very much. I tried it. It's a superfood. It's very good. Okay, I tried it for a month now. It's very good. So I suggest everyone to go see there, make your mind about it, and encourage them. They're full of good intention. They're good, freedom oriented people. So here we go. Thank you very much, Amy and Lovolution. Please, Will, can you talk to us about your work? So for the people who don't know you, don't know your work, just go quickly over there.
Excellent. Thanks for having me on again, Fred. It's a pleasure. Yeah, my name's Will Keller, and I'm a father. I'm a dude that loved understanding my psychological faculty and what's going on in the world, and that led me down many paths. And now, after gaining somewhat of an accurate perception of how reality operates and what is going on in the world, then I have the moral obligation to come out and speak publicly and synthesize some of the information and the knowledge that I have learned from some many great content creators and researchers and influencers and stuff like that. So here I am. Now I do content. I'm a public speaker, and I talk about some crucial topics that have to do with freedom.
So where can we get your videos? Where can we get your stuff?
Excellent. Yeah. One-stop shop link would be Linktree/Will Keller. Then you can get to all my social media on there as well. My official website is naturalfreedomleague.com. We have a video podcast. We go out on the streets and do public education. And we're also on Spotify and all kinds of different platforms for the video podcast. Also, my presentations are on there. And another good website is the One Great Work Network. Or
Yes,
Fred's got
absolutely.
there you go.
Yes.
One Great Work Network. Fred and I are both on. Most of my content is on there as well under Will Keller. It's a great resource it's a conglomerate of content creators under the same umbrella of knowledge, freedom, morality, natural law. And then also the third website I will mention is the Freedom Under Natural Law conference website. I am a co-creator and producer of the FUNL Conference. That advertised on the screen is the Funnel 2 Convergence that we had in September. It was a huge success. This is a free online conference with just some incredible content creators that made some presentations, all for freedom, focused on action. And I'm happy to announce that we have the Funnel 3 in the works. So
Awesome.
that will be announced
Excellent.
very soon on the website, freedomundernaturallaw.com.
That's awesome. That's some good news there.
Yeah,
Um,
good.
the I mean, we need so much of that. We need so much action. We need more people who wants to learn.
Yeah.
And I think this is the part where it's critical. You know, It-
You know,
there's
what's
a
going
lot of
on right
people.
now in this day and age, it's just huge opportunity in my opinion, right? I
Yes.
don't talk about a great awakening. There is no great awakening, but there is a great awareness with the pandemic and all that BS that took place. A lot of people, just kind of normies, average people that didn't have a certain level of awareness, recognized government's corrupt. There's a lot of lying going on.
Yeah.
Something's not right. And that is opportunity because that's the first step, right? You're not going to seek answers that you believe you already know. So, what gets you from point A to point B, right? And usually that's life experiences. Suffering is a good one as well. So,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that are kind of like, yo, something's going on. Shit's not right in the world. That's where they will begin the journey of seeking. And there is a huge uptick of people like seeking out information. A lot of alternative media platforms, news platforms, kind of have gained some huge recognition and popularity. But we need to get them from the effects of what's going on the surface to the cause, the why. And this is the type of work that you and I do, Fred. We get down to the causal factors.
And I know there's some French people who will listen tonight,
Cool.
and we need you. We need if you are in the know about this knowledge. It's our responsibility, even for the people who talk English, because I cover both language. But we need people. We need serious people who wants to get involved in it, and we need more teachers. We need more students. We need more neophytes. We need more initiates. We need more of all of that. So if you have if you're passionate about what we're gonna bring tonight and the insights, I suggest you to go on the One Great Work is only one place, but there's many things where you can get the occult information, the occulted information. So let's go right into this. Um, I just want to introduce this because there's an aspect that I want to bring back again, and what it means to be an adult,
Mm.
a responsible adult. And I think there's a misconception about parenting and being an adult. You know, we have a lot of parents who are children inside, who are immature or immoral. But it's not a justification. Ignorance is not a justification. And I want to bring back because there's a lot of people, even in the occult movement and the freedom movement, and they're talking about this and they don't know because they don't have children. And there's this this trend on trying to say out to raise children when you don't have one, when you don't have some. And there's a huge responsibility on the shoulders of the parents, or the caretakers. And it's not about like bringing food and clothing and shelter to the children. It's a intellectual, spiritual, emotional traveling with these children. We're gonna guide them. That we don't own them, and this is one of the things that we need to like to pound. the information. It's not, you don't owe them. You don't own them, and you owe them to at least bring them like to the adult age and with the baggage they need to at least um confront this world of deceptions and lies. And we it's not I'm not saying that we have to like dip them into the darkness, but I mean telling them the truth. Let's say it like that. Just telling them the truth. So I want to hear what you want to say about conscious parenting, because it's so fascinating. For we're both fathers, you know,
Mhm.
we have children, and it touched us like very closely. So please,
Yeah. No, well said what you said earlier. I really agree with that. So, here's the deal with conscious parenting. And like the quote I said earlier, right? No one seeks the answers that they think they already know. And tons of parents love their children, right? But there is a lack of awareness on what does it mean to be a parent. We're using the title conscious parenting, right? So most people, they just play out their programming and conditioning because this is how it's always been done. This is how it was done in their family, and their grandparents did that. And what the type of information that we're talking about are the fundamental principles. Now, these fundamental principles, they really are. They go with what you were saying about being, reaching spiritual adulthood. What does it mean to be a human? Right? There is a right answer and an incorrect answer. Correct answer and an incorrect answer, for sure. And this is the most valuable information that we can have in this reality, right? Obviously, how this reality operates and how we as individuals, human beings, operate within reality. So it's twofold. Now, both of these categories apply to parenting, I mean, drastically. Now, in my opinion, and I'm sure you're going to agree as well, Fred, parenting is the most important subject and conversation for freedom right now. Now, obviously, there's information that is vital that goes into that conversation, but we are the human condition of slavery and control. It is getting worse. We can see that. You can see that from the dialectics and from the pandemic on how many people obeyed, how many people supported and condoned. So, and you can compare that to past operations as well, psychological operations. You can see that it's growing. So, the influence of the state, the belief in human authority that it has validity, is growing, and it is still solid. Now, if the majority of people believe in human authority, the government, statism, all these religious belief systems, these ideologies that support and condone the violation of human rights and slavery. Now, what do you think they're gonna teach their children? They're going to teach their children the same conditioning and programming that they were taught, and then that they hold and condone currently. So what we're getting a process of psychological transference where it's just getting passed on to generation and generation. The social engineers and the controllers of the world, they understand this, I mean, so deeply. It's incredible. This is why culture, modern culture, is the strong arm of tyranny and mind control. Culture means to cultivate. It's like the operating system. Now, we could at some point in human history in the future have a positive culture, a moral culture, absolutely. But currently, we have to have that understanding. We have to have that accurate perception of modern culture. And is it moral or immoral? And absolutely it is immoral. And it's well versed in the tactics of mind control. So this has a huge play into conscious parenting. So for us to turn the tides, create more freedom, and to, break the binds that are the shackles that are enslaving human beings, it starts with what we believe, what we know, our conditioning and programming. And this all has to do with how we are raising our children, because our children set up for the future of society and civilization. If we use the lost art of reduction, and we can reduce everything down to its principle and attribute, meaning its cause and effect, we can look at society, and definitely we can get down to the causal factor of parenting. Because what is more foundational than you are born by a mother and a father, right? And they have influence on how you are raised, or lack of, right? And then that sets the tone on how your worldview, how you operate in the reality. So of course, it's if you have incorrect parenting, you're going to have immoral, incorrect operation in reality, meaning incorrect behavior, immoral behavior. So it's really, it's a vast topic, but the realm that I like to stay in is the principles of parenting. I mean, there's, unlimited parenting styles and conversations on how to do this, that, and all kinds of things, interests, hobbies. But there are still some core objective principles that parents need to understand, that the majority of them do not. And that's the kind of topic that we're going to dive in today.
And you covered it. Quickly, but yes, it's way deeper than that. There's a psychological aspect, and it's deeply in it. You know, uh, sure, there's the intergenerational mind control. It's very powerful. You know,
Yep.
and this mind control is indeed part of culture. And culture is a conglomerate of different programs, like governments, religions, uh, uh, music,
Hmm.
all the entertainment, all the national things, the nationalist thing, the patriotic thing. And um it's a drive. It's really a an engine to keep the mind control in place, because the government is only one thing, but
Yes.
everything that surrounds it, this is the key there. And intergenerational mind control, when you realize that we're soaked in this, you can go back to your own programming, your old programming, because before, just maybe, probably you and me, we did shadow work and introspection, and we went through that. We went s- through some parts of it, and
Hmm.
it's very empowering to gain back power of this is knowledge about yourself, essentially, and it gives you power. It gives you back your power to realize it, and then meditating and contemplating on them. And after that, when you're a parent, you can, like, take the few step back, and then, okay, what's my behavior, how did I respond, and all these beautiful things that but essentially this is part of the shadow work.
Hmm.
I mean it's scary, Will. We're an handful of person. It's And not only that, we have to fight against this programming ourselves. So the work is huge. It's
Hmm.
tremendous, because this aspect there, people will have to tell themselves that they were wrong. And this part there, people don't want it. They're gonna fight against this. And this is what we need to do, unfortunately, is to go back and then confront these aspects of ourselves. And then we can heal the generations, and having children and raise them well with morality, with and ethics, some ethics that we need to to put, even if we're, let's say, we're going into the utopian world where anarchy is our context. We still need to bring the children to a level of maturity. I mean, intellectually and emotionally. If you raise them without giving them guides for emotions, they're gonna turn out depressing, depression, like narcissism, and then they're gonna fall into the two sides of the brain on one, because they're gonna try to find a um,
Proxy.
a a substitute for parents
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
education. So they're gonna go elsewhere to find it, and the government, they're pleased by it. Okay, they're gonna open the arms. Come, we have plenty of entertainment for you. We can
Hmm.
send you into the new ager, like go back to Christianity, and things like that. And this is not what we need to do. It's like try to, it's go back into your own roots, because essentially this is I talk with my own experience. This is where I am, and this is having children. It's like children are the best teachers, because they're gonna tell you things like
Hmm.
they are. They're
Yeah.
beautiful. Children are they have this purity. I don't know how to explain that, but I'm sure you understand perfectly what I mean by
Oh,
that.
absolutely. They don't have all the programming conditioning that, adults have. They, especially younger children, really young children, you can look at it as they're closest to source, their innocence, their purity, their creativity, their imagination. It's all beautiful. This is what conscious parenting is all about. It's like you said earlier, it's empowerment and it's healing, because this is what we're ultimately doing. We're healing ourselves, and we're stopping the conveyor belt of the generational mind control. We're severing that connection, that dark connection that
Hmm.
that most parents are just passing down to their children. So yeah, it's empowerment and healing. And this is what children represent. They represent the future. They represent higher consciousness, because you are trying. This is what it means, right? The slide right on here. What is conscious parenting? The responsibility to raise a child's level of consciousness to a higher state of awareness through education and example, to be a moral adult. That is, to be an example. Not the example is a moral adult, to be the example, to give the child the tools and the education, right, to achieve higher awareness, higher consciousness, higher than even the parents. This is the whole purpose of just consciousness in general. It wants to evolve and expand, so it wants to be more complex and beautiful and expansive than the last fractal, right? So, which we are the parents. So this is the good thing. And unfortunately, nowadays, the problem is that we are spiraling in a involution. We're devolving. And the fractals, i.e., the monads, the single units of consciousness, are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The light is dimming down, and this is what culture is. This is what the system is. It's a limiter of consciousness. It's a box for
Yep.
consciousness, and that's done by design. Absolutely.
I mean, for the people who I started, I this is their French translation of the end of evil. Okay, I'm giving them away. Um,
Excellent.
so this is all explained in this book for the French people who are there. They know what I'm talking about. Probably I don't know who's there, who's commenting, but they know, because I'm giving them away because this book is so important. You know, it's pretty
Fantastic
cheap.
book.
They're like 8 9 bucks each. So I mean, I bought them, like I bought 6 of them, and I'm giving them away because I mean, everything is there. It's 90 page or something. You know,
Yeah, it's a
it's
really
very
easy
well
read.
explained.
It's got some fantastic principles in there and great knowledge. He did a really good job putting that together. Whoever that guy is, right? I mean, he has disappeared, but there's some great knowledge in there too.
Yeah, very good book. Um, there's there's an aspect of that I want to bring, and I want to talk about this because I think this is one of correlation between being a good human and the responsibility we have for children for sure, but for the other children and our neighbors and all these people that we have around us, because essentially there's no separation between us and them. Okay,
Yeah,
we're living into this plasma and these masses of people that we get influenced every day by these people. You talk with them, you exchange ideas, you're discussing ideas, and I mean, you're not. I consider myself that, like, I'm when I wake up in the morning, I'm not the same person I was the day before. This is how I see. I try to learn. I try to get into, like, conversation and the the intellectual and spiritual growth. It's about connection with the others too. So I think this is a good spot where we have to teach the children how to communicate, because it's lost now. People are texting, and people are getting awkward and more awkward with the time, and there's conflict, like, for irrelevant and
mm,
trivial things, like
yes,
how you dress, how you talk, are you is crazy. It's crazy.
yeah,
Before before we had, like, if it happens in school, there was maybe some slaps or two, or maybe we were like like moving a little bit, but essentially it everything was solved, just by communicating together, and maybe
exactly.
exchanging a little bit of force, you know but I mean, it's the parent responsibility to do the inner work, because your children, essentially, they're gonna project what you are.
Yeah,
They're
they're
gonna be
mirrors.
just like you, and it can be. I'm As a parent, I'm not perfect. Okay, I'm far from being perfect, and I'm very humble with this. I I'm I do better than my parents, but I know there's some things that, I'm having a lot of work to do, on myself. Like, I'm 10 years into it, the shadow work and in the introspection, more or less, and it's very difficult to deal with the family situation, and then the great work and the shadow work, and all these things together. So I have to balance all these things. I don't want my children to get involved into my my suffering and my pain, um because essentially they are mine, and they don't deserve to live with it. This is where I want to go. There's If the children are projecting, let me tell you, parents are projecting a lot. And
Mm.
this is one of the parts that are this is devastating, because people don't like themselves. Most of people don't like themselves. They don't respect themselves. They're liars. You know. So if you lie to yourself, you're lying to your children. And this is the part there is it's not fun
Well, that's
for the people. Just before I let you
sure.
continue, Will.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, yes, I can see your comments, people. I'm there. I can see it. Just because people were like, does he seeing the comments? I just wanted to.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining, viewers. I can't see names. It just says
Yeah,
Facebook user.
Facebook users.
But I appreciate y'all.
There's Josie. Josie's there. By the way, Josie, your book is gone. I mailed it this week, so we're gonna have it like next week or later. So I'm gonna put up your slides. I'm searching my word tonight.
Yeah, I want to touch on this too. The second part where it's because it kind of talks about exactly what you were just saying. The awareness of the parent directly affects the child awareness. Conscious parenting is about wisdom. Let me define wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied. So wisdom is actually action, right? It's the information that you have accumulated, that you have taken, either in totality or in piece on a certain subject, and you put it in action. So it's useful. And this is what conscious parenting is all about as well. It's engagement, it's action. Now, conscious simply is awareness, right? But a more descriptive definition would be a being's ability to understand patterns within oneself and in its environment. So there's tons of conscious parenting books out there. This is a trendy term, conscious parenting, right? But what does that mean? Because there's different levels of consciousness, but there is some prerequisites of information that parents must know. And we're going to dive into this as well and see the social engineers. They understand this. This is why they aim to put that wedge in the relationship between child or children and parents.
Hmm.
They also want to put the wedge between mother and father, which I'll talk about later on as well. But once that wedge is in there, and that wedge is culture, like you were saying, Fred, entertainment, pop
Yeah.
culture. I mean, all kinds of things, sports, entrainment, public schooling, everything, all that kind of stuff, right? It's something so the child can relate to, they can identify with, they can start to build their connection and their relationship with, so eventually it becomes stronger than mother and father. And this is why, it's a common thing that we hear, over the generations where, teenagers, when they become into the preteen and teenage years, oh, I just can't relate to my parents. The manufactured agenda is working perfectly. And this is stuff that parents need to understand, and get activated and get engaged. Because here's the good news. The good news is, when you're a parent, a mother is God in the eyes of a child, right? Father is protector. The parents, the family dynamic is so strong and so potent. This is where freedom starts. It's if for a family, a collective of individuals that call themselves a family. This is where freedom begins. Ultimately, it begins in the mind, but that influence comes from parents and family. This is why this is so important. Sorry, I had to put my dog down. And here it is, the foundation of freedom. The family is the basic unit of human society and the formative center of individual life. The family and the home become the first structural model of the world that a child knows, and his or her psychological, moral, emotional, physical, and spiritual development emanates from this formative environment. The formative years of a child's life will lay the foundation or programming for operating in the world and the ability to understand oneself and operate in reality correctly. Highlighted correctly, because yes, when we say correctly, what are we talking about? There is a objective standard to act in the world. This is objective morality. The definition of morality is the difference between right and wrong behavior. So it implies that there is a difference, that it is objective. And obviously it is do no harm. If you initiate aggression or harm, that's an immoral action, right? So
Yep.
when we apply this to ourselves and then we apply it to the world, we see a whole bunch of people condoning and supporting government and violent religious ideologies, and that's from incorrect thinking, right? And then they take incorrect behavior or actions. So this is the family dynamic is the root for freedom to grow or to be eliminated.
So I don't want to get over it, but what do you think would be the first thing that we need to get better at or change? What would be the first
Ooh,
thing?
great question, man. And this is what I'm going to say. Conscious conception. So what does that mean? And think about it. If we let's try to use some logical problem solving. If we think about it, if we're constantly playing catch up because parents are not raising their kids correctly, okay, so we need to at least get up to par so we can start to turn the tides. So parents currently need to obviously the younger the better, right? The younger age group in formative years, because that lays the foundation, the subconscious and the operating system of how the being views the world. But also if you have older kids as well, grown adults, you still have that influence. So currently parents need to educate themselves on what's on the slide. First things
Oh,
first, on
I'm gonna bring
principles.
it back. Yep.
But if we can get to a state of awareness of conscious conception, that means two aware human beings that understand nature, how natural law, how this reality operates, and how to act, to think and act in the world, meaning you understand objective morality, and obviously you understand the self on a fundamental level, your thoughts, emotions, and actions, right?
Yep.
And that's a learning process. That's what we're here to do as humans, to grow and learn. But there's still foundational information that we can discover and learn. We need to get up to par. Now, if two beings have this information, right, and they've applied it to themselves, and then they come together to conceive a child, think about that. That's so empowering. That being is going to be on a different level of awareness growing up from the start, because the social engineers know that they're trying to inflict trauma. When you inflict trauma, you break the psyche and it creates, you disassociate from reality. This is why there's so much mental illness going on. And if you believe in government or you condone slavery in any way, that is a mental illness. You are detached from the natural world, from reality. So
Absolutely.
there's a disassociation. So the trauma comes even before the children are born, right? In utero, and when the mother is pregnant, and through ultrasound, chemicals, all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, the birthing process is uh, a being comes into the world having a very traumatic experience. You can get into circumcision, a C-section, which is like the norm nowadays, right? Versus natural birth. So they've taken the power away from women, from
Yep.
mothers, and feeding them fear, where a mother thinks that there's no way she's going to be able to do this birth naturally when it is built in her very being. I mean, it's so incredible what a woman can do.
Yep.
Uh, Create the vessel for a soul to incarnate into as a being into this reality. I mean, it's mind blowing. But yet, when we look at modern culture nowadays, it's completely flipped on its head. It's inverted. The inversion principle is alive and well. And there's so much fear, and all fear stems from ignorance. It's
Yep.
because men and women are ignorant to themselves and to reality. And same goes for fathers too. We see the emasculation of men. Men are becoming more feminine. They're not standing up. They're not playing their role as protector. And supporting the mother even before birth. They're doing that incorrectly as well because of their lack of knowledge on emotional, psychological, physical as well, right? With what you put in your body, what you're around, and all. I mean, it's a long convo, but it's so important. So ultimately, where does it start? It starts in the mind of individuals, because what's the norm nowadays? Well, I got my girlfriend knocked up. It was an accident. How many children are born nowadays and it was not planned consciously? Not that many. I would say the norm is people are in a relationship and an accident happened. Okay, I was right there with that. This was before my awareness increased, and I actually started looking into what's going on a parental level. But if we can get two beings that are fully, not fully, but have higher awareness come together, right, and form that sacred union called a relationship, and then conceive, having a child is the most sacred experience in this reality.
Absolutely. I mean, it's beautiful.
So that's why I
And
would say it starts.
I went through this beautiful, these are stages, and then your wife, when your wife are pregnant, I I I really wanted to do my part as a father.
Mm,
I mean, I had to work, during the pregnancy, but I now I'm like working 10 hours a week, and I am getting all this time, this precious time with my children, and I wanted to be involved into the family, because a lot of men, let's say most of them, okay, most of them are like having a week of work, like 40, 50 hours a week. They're seeing their children only in the evening and for supper
mm,
for a couple of hours, you know and I
yeah,
have the chance, and I'm blessed for that, is to having the time to play with my children and laugh with them, and having this beautiful relation, you know
yeah.
because and it's very, I want to bring a lighter side and a beautiful side, because we have so much pressure from the society now for depopulation.
Mm,
They're saying to everyone, they're saying to everyone that it's overpopulated, there's too much people. It's all lies.
yeah,
It's all lies. And we need to make babies. We need to. We're arriving at a critical place in the population of humanity here in the West. For the people who will listen, and they're in the UK, it's scary. Okay, in 2014, the birth rate was at 14.5 or 7 on 1,000 people.
Mm.
14 children on 1,000 people.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
low, very low. I mean, it's scary when you take a few step backs and you look at it and you see all this propaganda, you know,
Yeah.
this thing that all children they're um they're noisy, you know. You don't have a life. If you have children, you don't have your life anymore. You know, there's some aspect, yes. You know, there's some things that you could do when you were before you were parents that you will not do as much as you want to because the children are taking all your time, you know, if you want to take care of them. I we started homeschooling our older girl, and it's not easy. There's nothing easy on that, but we're trying to show them that what is family,
Mm.
you know. Try and saying to them every day, I love you.
Mhm.
Here you're respected. We ask them consent for doing things. My girls don't have their hearings. They don't have it. You know why? Because they cannot give you their consent.
Mhm.
This is how this is how I deal with them. There's some things, you know, like eating and dressing well when you're going play in the snow, you know,
Yeah.
that you need to like you do it, that's it, that's all. But most of the time, you know, they're playing. We're playing together, we're laughing, you know, and sometimes it's never easy, you know. Sometimes it's very hard, you know. The children are getting into strange phases like the 6 7 years old, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Man, it's not gonna last, you know. This is there's some, and me and my wife, you know, we're 17 years old, a couple, you know. We're married since 10 years, and sometimes we're watching the girl playing, and one she's whining and laughing, we're looking ourselves, and we're start laughing because we remember what being a child is, being a kid, you know, and make goofy things, you know,
Mm.
and very very weird or odd behaviors that they have, like talking a language that you don't understand, things like that.
Mm.
and
Yeah.
and and they're so this is so powerful, you know, this feeling. And you have your children, you're playing with them, and this relation you have with them, it's so powerful, you know. It lifts your soul, you know. For me, it's incredible, you know.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Same with me. I mean, I love just entering my daughter's world that she's in, and we, like you said earlier, we have a lot to learn that we can learn from children. And yes, they are mirrors, and they show us our shadow side as well. Um, but their innocence, their imagination. I mean, they kids, and that's the thing. Kids aren't coming into the world inherently evil and immoral, right? They're coming in as a clean slate, but they still have that divine essence, which is good, which wants what? It wants to evolve and expand and grow. And all of that is characteristics of freedom. That's what freedom is, right? Unrestricted free will expression.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's it can be conditioned out, unfortunately. So real quick, go back to that last slide. Just
Sure.
briefly, I'll just touch
Yep.
on first things first. That's the definition of principles. These are
Yes.
the objective principles of parenting. This is what I was saying. There's all kinds of different parenting styles that we can get into, and ultimately, my answer for that, real quick, is it's all it's a beautiful thing because it's all individualized. Your family is going to have its own unique um, connection and parenting style, but there are objective principles that every parent needs to understand.
Hmm.
And this is number one, nature, um, objective truth, and natural laws. This is how understanding natural law, how reality truly operates. And all the natural law principles that go into play, because you have to understand how we are co-creators and how manifestation works. And then objective morality. You have to understand how to act in the world correctly, right versus wrong action. And then responsibility, which is your ability to respond to thoughts, emotions, and actions. These are all of these categories need to be dove way, way deep for parents, and to integrate into themselves and into their actions, and then be the example and educate their children on this. Responsibility. This is pretty much knowledge of self. How does the psyche work? How does emotions work? Emotional stability and behavior. So those three categories, they're big categories, and they're vital for
Oh
parents to
yes,
understand.
it
And I
is.
would, and for me, that's objective. Every parent must know these, because you can't take one of those out of the equation. And you take one of them out, and you're going to be operating incorrectly, incorrect thinking. You're not going to understand your emotions. So you're going to be emotionally reactive. You're going to have incorrect behavior, immoral actions. If you don't understand how nature works, then you cannot discern from artificial or natural, from real or fake. You cannot discern the truth. So you will fall victim to the lies and deceptions, which will what? Lead you into incorrect behavior, incorrect thinking, all of this kind of stuff. So it's definitely important,
I mean,
crucial.
I mean, it should be thought in school. Taught in school. At the younger
Mm.
age. Natural law and objective morality, and this how to discover truth. The trivium. And things like that. They're all useful tools that were uh, censored, occulted from the main educational institution, where I mean it's like a prison. It's like a fucking prison.
Yeah, and I will say that, there are ideal conditions that a parent, definitely should strive for. Absolutely. Self-directed learning, for sure. Unschooling, which is self-directed learning. Um, but you have to make do with what you can, and
Yep.
you have to try. And a little bit later on, I want to get into co-parenting, which that's a huge effect of like that kind of dynamic. But yet parents still have that influence, meaning that you can still educate yourself on this, and you can still be a facilitator. This is what parenting really is. It's not parenting as in like you're the owner of property. You are a facilitator. It's
Yeah.
stewardship.
It's guiding.
It's a mentorship. It's
Yeah.
guidance. Exactly. So
Yeah.
even if you have older kids in their teenage years, or early adult, or they're older, you can still generate communication and conversation, and actually this information will help heal them as well, looking back on their own childhood. Because there's no such thing as perfection. So we are not responsible for the trauma that we have occurred in our childhood, but we are responsible for the healing in our adult life. And parents can be facilitators for this healing for grown children.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see what was the next slide.
Go for it. Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. Yeah. Conscious partnership versus authoritarian parenting. So this, I could actually, you can consider this styles, like parenting styles, and there's like two overarching categories. But one of them, the authoritarian parenting, stems from a lack of knowledge of the first principles. So conscious partnership, and on the left, some of the characteristics, the attributes. It's involved with a high level awareness. It's active and engaging. It's moral and respectful. You have trust and care, and love and knowledge. It is a partnership. You understand that, your children are individual, unique beings that you do not own. You understand morality, do no harm. So therefore you respect their rights. Um, so it is a partnership. I'm really big on communication. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I literally can talk to her about like philosophy and all kinds of stuff, deep topics. Of course, at her level, right? I'm not just, using just big words that she doesn't understand, but sometimes I do, because I want her to, oh, well, what does that word mean? Which she does a lot. So we have this relationship and we communicate on all levels, right? I let her know if I'm hurt in any way by something she did, and she does the same with me as well. So we're communicating on an emotional level and a psychological level and a physical level as well, right? Because we're trying, as parents, we need to provide resources and we need to meet our child's needs. And I don't mean ignore or set aside your own needs, right? There's symbiosis in the relationship. So those are some of the characteristics of a conscious partnership. An parenting authoritarian parenting is based in low level awareness, meaning you do not understand morality, how the natural world operates, how the knowledge of self operates. Um, it is passive and lazy. And what I mean by that, it's convenience. It's so convenient for parents to take them to public school or daycare or preschool, and
Yeah.
get them out of your hair for 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Um, this kind of stuff. It Authoritarian parenting, it is immoral and it's self-loathing as well. Psychological transference. We pass on a lot of shit that we accumulated from our parents as well. So what is an authoritarian parent? It's the parent that thinks they own their child, that they are superior over their child. Do what I say because I said so. If you don't clean your room, or else. Spanking is big for authoritarian parenting. Why? Because it's controlling and it's violent. If you spank your kid, right, you just violated their natural right. You violated your child by causing harm. And this is based in fear and ignorance, because all fear is based in ignorance, lack of knowledge. So authoritarian parenting, which unfortunately is the norm now, even today. Uh, Authoritarian parent, they act like tyrants. That's the thing. This is why when you reach the teenage years, there's that full disconnect. Your child withdraws from you, right? And they can't relate. They don't want to be with you. They're outlandish. They rebel. The only reason why that is happening is because their parents are tyrants. There is no trust and care there. There's no love or knowledge or respect or connection. So it's just the parents seeing themselves at a higher level and they must obey. So that's the problem. This is also, part of the process of indoctrination school as well. This is based on authoritarianism, obedience, and control. So
There's a pattern there. There's love and fear, and you can see it.
yeah,
It's like a tree.
yep,
I was seeing your slide, and I was seeing a tree.
hmm,
I was seeing a tree of love, and then the inverted tree of fear.
exactly. Fear.
It's like
What are you doing? It's a limiter of consciousness. You're stunting its growth.
I mean, you don't want the children to hurt themselves, to so much that you're gonna like stop them from growing and living experiences, and maybe hurt themselves a little bit, and that you know but I mean, it's like that psychologically and emotionally, you know and i
Yeah,
i can talk by experience, for myself. This is what I had to deal with, you know humiliation, and things like that, I'm not doing that to my children. you know the only thing that I'm doing with them, it's playing, you know. This is where I put the frontier. It's like, okay, you want to play rough, it's okay, no problem, but we I'm not I have zero tolerance for violence. You And this is one of the key there, you know. It's like show them what is violence, what it
Mhm.
the difference between using force and having fun, or defending yourself and harming someone for any reason whatsoever, you
Yes.
know. And and it's not easy, because the children, depends on what age they're gonna have, you cannot tell that to them. They're not gonna understand, you know. This is where I'm using natural law, you know. You don't want people to do that to you, then don't do it, you know. The
Mhm.
principle of correspondence.
Yeah.
I'm telling them, you are not lesser than your sisters, or than your other sisters. You're not lesser than them. We're loving all of you so much. We have to tell them a lot. They need to be reconforted. They need to feel respected and loved, and they need to know it. They need this validation. And I'm not talking about this abusive, I give you everything you want. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about emotional support and intellectual support when they're needed. And you have to have the tool to do it. If your children ask you something, if and you don't know the answer, you tell them, I don't know. Let's take 5 minutes and look in the book, look on the internet, and take the information. It's not it's not a bad thing to don't know something, you know. And it's like lying to your children. It's the same thing.
Mm.
You don't have to. Your children will know one day. They're gonna wake up, and then they're gonna think about something you said before, and they will remember, you know. And this is one of the things that I didn't do with my children, you know. Santa Claus, things like that.
Yeah.
I'd say them, Santa Claus doesn't exist. It's grandpa and grandma. It's mom. It's me and mom. We're doing you like, and because we love you. You know, this is not. This is it is, and learning the value of things. You know, I mean, this one there. We need this. This is so important, and learning them the value of life, respecting life, and not harming others in your behaviors and your actions that you're doing. And this is the basic thing there. This is the most fundamental, basic foundation of everything. I mean, even for yourself, you don't do
Mhm.
shit to others that you don't want to get. It's simple. You don't want the children to lie to you. Don't lie to them. They will try to manipulate you for sure. Okay, this is what children do. Okay, but you don't have to get into it. You don't have to get in the game. You tell them right there. I'm telling you, people. This is how I deal with my children. I'm telling them the truth. It's not always easy. I'm repeating myself. Fatherhood and motherhood and parenthood, it's not easy. There's no guide. There's no book that you can buy. You know, I have three little girls. You have one.
Mhm.
And three children, they're like a little pack. They're influencing themselves together. And you have to deal with it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
very different. This is a very different context.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They're
Good.
little gang, and they're they're doing things together and and saying them secrets and things like that, and you have to deal with the influence they have between them. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, having siblings, I had two other brothers as well. I mean, there's a lot of benefit with having siblings.
Yeah,
And there's also a benefit of, being an only child. I think the only child syndrome is complete bullshit.
yeah,
That's manufactured. That's been made up for many reasons. I have a very close connection with my daughter. We tell each other that we're best friends. We do all kinds of things together. We go to the park. She wants to hang out with dad over either friends or other kids at the park and stuff. It's because I'm a big ass kid. But you know, for a long time since she was young, I would tell her like I would never lie to you, and let's go learn something together. I think that's one of the biggest things about children is to inspire them through your own action to so they understand what learning is, natural learning, and they fall in love with it, because natural learning is always based in an internal motivation, right? So when your kid is interested in something, provide resources, give some of that inspiration and that motivation to seek that and pursue that interest. Totally healthy. And when I do other interviews and talks and stuff, and I talk about giving your child freedom, it's really common for people to think like, well, what do when you have a baby, do you just let your baby just like walk around like a 3-year-old and stuff, and like, do you not make sure they're safe crossing the street? It's like, no, of course you make sure they're safe crossing the street. You have to understand that they're nescient. They don't have the capacity to understand, oh
hmm
shit, I don't have the logical capacity to understand that cars are coming down. I need to be safe. This is what we do as parents, right? We are the facilitators. We guide them. Brothers and sisters, they're gonna fight, which is totally fine. It's a great opportunity to teach boundaries and
sure.
respect. My daughter and we wrestle all the time. I'm the father. It's my duty to teach self-defense.
Yeah,
So we wrestle and stuff, but she knows, and I know as well, when we hear that tone of stop, dad, or she might be like, stop, daddy, which is she's having fun, but stop, daddy means more, more, more. But when she says, dad, stop, it's serious, then I stop. And she does the same for me too. It's just that relationship of understanding boundaries and having respect. So
there's someone in the comment, Gabriel, I
mm,
have 10. Oh my god. Well,
wow,
that's a gang there.
that's a
This is a
squad.
troop, you know.
And what you were saying, Fred, earlier about that we need to have babies. That's why I said, the first thing, um conscious conception. We need awake, aware people that understand morality. Why? The number one, understanding how to act in the world, because if you understand morality, so many pieces of the puzzle fall into place. You understand that nobody can control and violate anyone else. Government is just an erroneous belief system based on violence and duress and slavery and the violation of natural rights. All kinds of stuff. Everything falls into place. It's so foundational. It's so basic. It's if you could teach your children, if you can inspire them just on a couple subjects, it would be objective morality and how to think. Both
Yeah,
of them have to do with the natural world. You have to understand natural law for both of them. Those are like the main two categories. What greater gift can you give your children than the gift of knowledge on how to utilize knowledge in the natural world, which is the world of the real, what's really going on, which, discernment and all this kind of stuff. So it's so many. Having 10 kids, woo, I love children. When I was with my daughter's mother, we initially were like, she wanted 8. And I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. Let's have 8. Then she got pregnant and it was like, nah, let's do like 4. And I'm like, okay, 4. Right. And then we had our daughter, and our awareness increased. Our awareness increased when she was pregnant. We had a natural birth. We were really blessed to come into a very aware midwife, and that was a game changer. And we were not romantic for 3 years, and but we stayed together under the same roof just because our daughter was in the formative years. And it's something I want to
Yeah,
talk about. It's on one of the slides about co-parenting, because this is a huge question that I always
I'm
get.
gonna bring that up right
Cool.
now.
Or whatever slide is next.
I put that. I
Oh,
put
here we
them in
go.
order.
Yeah, cool. The two pillars, mother and father. I mean, it's so crazy nowadays, right? Where a man thinks that he can be a woman, and a woman thinks or believes that
Oh,
she could be a man.
oh my God.
It fucking impossible. It's mental illness. It's a mental
Yep.
illness. You know why? Because a woman is just unique and magical and beautiful.
Yep.
And there's no fucking way you're going to degrade that or invert that whatsoever. It's such a delusion from the natural world. So anyways, that was a tangent. So mother and father, in case anyone doesn't know, it takes a man and a woman to come together and have a kid, right? So
Thank you for
there
your
we go. We got
clarification, by the
yeah
way.
we got to just get that out there. Now, they both are equally important. Both of them equally important. Yes, father provides the seed, mother creates the vessel. They're both equally important, even after birth for the child within their life. They're very much important. In today's modern world, men, fathers are brutally disrespected. And it's just crazy through the state, through culture, what a lot of women or mothers believe, that they, because they've birthed the child, that they have full right and control over the children, and the father is just secondhand. It's total bullshit, right? And we see that's real brutal in the court systems, which a lot of parents go through the court system, and that's unfortunate. Now, the
Just
point
like
that I
that
wanted to
before.
get to,
Just a little
yeah,
point.
sure,
80% of the couple get divorced are started by women, by the way. Just saying like that.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Started, there's I mean, we'll skip down a couple lines, and it says, the deliberate inversion and destruction. This is from what people believe nowadays, men and women, what they believe, the deception and the lies of what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, right? It's so important. And there's a deliberate inverting of this. We can see this everywhere. You just look at the gender identity, crisis that's going on. It's
Yep.
crazy, but also the destruction. Because what does it do if man and woman, mother and father, hold these incorrect ideologies, and they have this ignorance and stuff? It directly affects the children. Directly, anything we do as parents directly affects the children on a psychological, emotional, and physical level. So absolutely, I mean, the social engineers, they understand this. This is why mothers are subsidized. This is why the state gives them money, gives them more money. In California, it's called a mother state, meaning if you're not married, the mom automatically has um, uh, custodialship, right? And the father is a joint, secondary is what it's labeled as. But the father automatically has to pay the mother. Doesn't, and very rare occasions does it go the other way. And that's when you go through, the child support, the state services, and CPS, which is just child predator system. They just feed on family, and they feed on the ignorance of two humans that are acting like children, that can't communicate within themselves and be, efficient enough to work out their own problems. And sure, I get it. I get sometimes, the accountability, the lack of accountability for men, the lack of accountability for women. Sometimes one parent leaves the picture totally, like the scumbag they are. They just, they can't handle the responsibility, and they leave, right? So that is a factor. I get it. I totally understand that. But um, so the two pillars, mother and father, there's healing, and it is a partnership. If parents separate, this is going to have huge effects on the children. Huge. So if mother and father can communicate and can heal and enter into a level of consciousness of like a partnership, co-parenting, this would first, it's huge healing individually for mother and father, but for the child too, because you're trying to minimize traumatic experience is what you're trying to do. But one crucial thing that I want to talk about is the first one. It says the relationship, anima and animus. Now,
Yes.
the anima and the animus are in human psychology. This is within the subconscious mind. This is the masculine and feminine, the mental characteristics. Not talking like biological. I'm talking about the mental, energetic characteristics that influence behavior. This is part of the psyche. And everyone has a sacred feminine, which is the anima, and a sacred masculine, which is the animus. Now, anima and animus are directly related to mother and father, meaning the relationship that son has with his mother will set the stage for his anima. And for a daughter, the relationship she has with her father will set the stage for the animus. Now, you can have a healthy or or a toxic anima or animus, right? So, mother and father, if you have I'm a father, I have a daughter. Mothers, if you have a son, this is what I'm talking about. Opposite gender um parent and child circumstance. You are setting the tone for all relationships within that child's life that has to do with the opposite sex. Now, it's not indefinite. This is what the shadow work is all about. Doing the shadow work, you can go deeper than the shadow, and you can go into the anima and the animus to heal that childhood trauma. And what do we see nowadays in culture, right? There's a lot of toxic relationships, narcissism, all this shit. People are getting in bad relationships. They don't have a good judgment for the opposite sex. And this is based, and it correlates with their relationship with either mother or father. Also, anima and animus. Anima is meaning, and animus is purpose. This has to do with the macro energetic. When you have a healthy anima, right, you have meaning. And if you have a healthy animus, you have purpose. So it's like the yin and the yang. They go together. But I'm a man. My anima, the relationship I had with my mother, right, is going to affect all my relationships, either platonic or romantic, with females, with women, and vice versa. So it's really important. That's like a little seed that I'm going to plant for people. I'm going to do a whole presentation on that at some point in the future, but it's really important for people that are viewing this. If you are parents, think about your childhood and the relationship that you had with your mother and father, or lack thereof.
Yep.
Now, if your children are grown, this is where you can facilitate healing, deep healing, by talking with your now grown children, right? You talk to them about the relationship that you had when you were younger, and communicate that. So that's really important. And co-parenting, and the ability to respond, right? This is obviously the ability to respond to anything that has to do with really reality, with your thoughts, your emotions and physical, right? It's like, if are you feeding, are you promoting a healthy diet with your children? Now, in a co-parenting situation, this is the tough part. You obviously are going to have a parent that might be at a different level of awareness. It's, horrible what was going on during the pandemic. One parent wants to genetically modify their child with needlecraft, and the other parent that is, aware that that is poison and toxic and doesn't want that in their child's body. Um, there's a divide, right? There's a war where mother and father are literally going to war. And a lot of times they bring the state and get the state involved, which usually does not end up well, because who's the state going to side with? Oh, we're going to side with the experts, right? So you're going to be fucked in a lot of cases, and it's not good. If you are the more aware parent, you can't force the other parent to change, but what you can do is inspire and try to educate on these principles, and try to at least get the parent to understand natural rights, that you can't violate your child's body and this kind of stuff. It's so easy to get to react instead of respond. When you respond, it means you're thinking logically, you're using logic and reason. When you react, you're just reacting from the emotional state, how you feel. So it's a big topic. I can keep ranting on it, but I'll leave it at that. So it's some really good seeds. Co-parenting, it can be brutal, and then it can also turn and be healing and beautiful for the child. I always wish the latter.
I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, your word craft is awesome, and this is what I like about your style. You have this
Oh, thanks,
way
brother.
of saying
Appreciate it.
things. I mean, my English for me is my second language, so it's always awesome to hear very articulate way of saying it. You know, you explain it very very simple, very down to earth, and I think most people will see uh, something in there. I gotta have
Awesome.
to go back and and look at it. And this is the part that is important is the solution. Because like I say
Mm.
almost every time, we can describe the walls of the prison, you know, for
Mhm.
for for all the evening. But we want solution.
Yes.
We want a way to deal with, because there's some people who went to me and asked me about shadow work, and I was like, I mean, I cannot teach you how to do it, because it's a very intimate thing. I can like give you keys and doors that you can take to go in there, because there's things that you need to get before you get into the shadow work, you know
Mhm.
and these part there is it's not easy, so we got to start with the basics. And
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
would say I would suggest, um for my part, it's to be, if you're parents or you want to be, it's to be very humble, and being truthful to yourself and to your
Yes.
children. At least if you have flaws, or you have bad things that you want to correct, that you have, at least be at peace with it. And if you want to change it, then change it. you know you're not stuck like that. You can change these things. You can realign your DNA. You can change these connection in your brain. It's the will to do it. And
Mm.
with children, I want to bring that because it's very important. It's the care aspect, the care with a capital C.
Yes.
And care is everything.
Absolutely.
This is what hold the parents together. You know, the
Yeah.
care for their children. Because we're essentially what we're doing it for ourselves. But when you have children, this part there, it's not that true anymore. and it's being fair, at least, yeah, respect, care. It's not easy for a lot of people. We had all our dark stories, shadows. Our shadows are at a level or another. We still struggle with things, but it's what do you do with your attention and your care and your time? You want you having a family, you have to do some to compromise, you have to sacrifice,
Yeah, man,
because
that's the word.
yeah, because even in the law, when you have children, you don't own anything afterward. It's all your children. And I think you can put it in the sense of your knowledge and your experience. We have so much problems now, like we treat our elderly people. They were the teachers. They were the one people who sat with the children and tell them their experience and stories. There's nothing like that. And
Yeah,
we took it. We 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 put our elderly people into prisons now, and they're dying there, you know, away from their family, away from the grandkids. I mean, all the family has been attacked, in the socialist, communist, like, context of politics. Communists is it's very, they want to destroy the family unit. So this is what we need to put in our energy to the family unit.
exactly.
If the family is divided and fractured, then the society is gonna be, and badly. And in the latest years, the three last years, it's had been fucking inverted. Everything is inverted now. Health, it's toxic, it's unhealthy. You go see a doctor, you're not sure if it's not gonna try to kill you. You know, and you're going to eat food, and you're going to the grocery stores, and you start looking at the stuff that there's inside. And it's all garbage. You know,
Yeah,
even the vegetables. You know, it's crazy. We're getting attacked from everywhere. And you mentioned, by the way, I'm getting to that very soon, the intersectionalist agenda. Okay, this is fucking garbage. This is pure evil. This is what it is.
yeah,
It's inverted, simple principle, simple truth inverted. The fundamental things that we need to know for sure has been inverted completely. It's gonna be a total hell, in 10 years, because the children who were indoctrinated in the late years, they're gonna be fucking angry. They're gonna
yeah,
say, "Oh my god," they're gonna wake up one day, and they're gonna realize it's all a lie. You know, so we have to like educate ourselves, and then work on the shadow work and the inner work. We're I mean, I was talking in the last podcast from Mark Passio. I told him it's scary here in Quebec, in
yeah.
Canada. It's scary. We're not even a handful. We're maybe a few. You know, it's scary, and this is the amount of work that we need to do. It's
Yeah.
wow. And I mean, just fighting the IQ of the people. We have to deal with children, This is not children, not like little children. It's like adult side children. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's the thing, you know, like you said, solution, solution. It's right in there. Soul.
Yeah.
It's about your soul. It's about what are you doing? We need to activate. You said care. So be the example. Parental evolution as the solution to evolve in awareness, in consciousness. True education is the pathway to freedom. Learn with your child. Respond instead of react. Love over fear. You can be the influence in their life to raise them right. Have courage, willpower, care, and activate. We have to become our child's freedom advocate. We have to respect their rights. We have to educate them on how to think and act in the world, because the world that they are growing up in, it's like you said, it's scary. But you know, being the example and activating and getting involved is really gonna set the pace on their own mentation, their mental activity, how they are going to operate in the world. Because ultimately, what we are raising, we're raising beings to activate their conscience, to understand the difference between right and wrong. That's ultimately what we're doing. And yeah, it's not easy, man. It's definitely tough, especially in a co-parenting situation. You have to understand, you have to not sweat the small stuff. Focus on what you can do. Fuck all that petty shit that the other parent is trying to dish out on you. Unfortunately, it affects the child. But I'll say this: in a co-parenting situation, freedom is the ultimate. Your child, if your child grows up and parents are you're divorced or separated, you're in a co-parenting situation, the child is going to resonate with the parent that understands and animates freedom, because freedom is based on truth, morality, respect, and love. And this is a long game. Being a parent is not a short game. It's a long game, meaning that you will not see the fruits of your involvement until your child is starting to grow up and be self-sufficient, right? So it's real important to keep that in the back of your mind, that this is a long game. So it's about being the example. And of course, this is a slide that I ended my other conscious parenting presentation on. I will not sentence my children to a future without liberty, because hey, guess what? We're in fucking war. Human
Yeah.
condition is slavery, violence, coercion, duress, right? We need to be smart. We need to use logic and reason. And above all, we need to be moral and use love. So,
That's beautiful. And I mean, that's a beautiful things to end the podcast on. Um, Thank you
yeah, brother.
so much, Will, for taking your time and come on the podcast. It's I told you I like your work. It's the wordage is very good. I like it very much. It's a very classy, simple thing, you know. You said this is what we need to do. Like telling the truth as simple as it is. It's not easy.
Mm,
Some people will not like it, but still have to say it, and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. So once again, please tell us where we can find our work. I know I put the Natural Freedom League under, but
yeah,
if you have something else, and talk about the funnel three
sure.
at the same time.
Well, again, thank you for those comments, Fred. That means a lot. Thanks for having me on. I'll come back anytime. It was a great chat. I always value your insight, and I'm appreciative of all the viewers and all the comments. That was really great. So thanks for participating in that. The best link I can give people is just go to Linktree slash Will
Yes.
Keller. So WILLKELLER. That's like a one-stop shop. You're going to get my official website, Natural Freedom League. You also get the conference, but I also have my presentations, my direct presentations posted on there, and my social medias as well. So feel free to check me out or contact me. My email's on there as well. So I appreciate that. The FUNL Conference, we're doing
Yes.
Freedom Under Natural Law 3. This is the third one. With the FUNL group, we're getting really excited. That's really all I can say right now. Because it's a group thing, and we're going to be doing an official announcement. But I'll just tell everyone, go to freedomundernaturallaw.com. Check out the replays from Funnel 2 and Funnel 1. We had Mark Passio, Andrew Kaufman, Dana Martin,
Yeah,
all kinds of,
Dana Martin is I like her work too. It's about
yes,
like homeschooling and things like that. So that's a good one.
her work is phenomenal. I can't
Yes.
recommend it, enough. She's one of my mentors. So absolutely. But a lot of good videos on there, and also on the One Great Work Network. I thank you, Fred. Appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure. Thank you everyone for being there. There was a lot of French people, and I'm happy that the Francos are there to listen to you and the other because I I try to like to put French stuff. I'm pushing more on the French side, but I'm always happy, always proud to have other great workers and share their wisdom with the new listeners and the new people. So thank you everyone for being there, and we're gonna see you very soon. I'm gonna do a French one very soon. It's not gonna be it's gonna be a little vitriolic. I need to push some things out, and this is gonna be the time. So thank you everyone, and see you next time.